Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left. That's not the right.
Do you plan on investigating?
We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation. You know, they're already under major investigation. A lot of the people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
They're already under investigation?
Already under investigation.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of those who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
What?
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
Any progress on the Fed chairman, sir?
You know, sometimes it still is amazing to wake up and watch the news and realize on a nearly daily basis that we actually do have a president who is utterly clueless, a complete doofus, and ultimately really just kind of seems to say the first thing that pops in his head at any given moment and really has no real kind of critical thinking skill or really any sort of developed thoughts that he delivers to the American people. And we just saw another example of it there with Trump erratically, very strangely claiming that people on the left that are apparently celebrating Charlie Kirk's death are already under investigation, whatever the absolute heck that means. The first thing that pops in my mind is, you know, show me an example. Can one person show me an example of anybody who is prominent on the left who is hooting and hollering and openly celebrating Charlie Kirk's death? I just have not seen that. The very, very harshest thing that I have seen and heard from some people I know and some people I follow in the media is generally that, yeah, this is something that was really, really awful that happened, but that Charlie Kirk also said a lot of really damaging, awful, harmful things throughout his life and throughout his career. Not that one negates the other, right? That the awfulness of the shooting supersedes the awfulness of some of the things that he said in the past, right? But basically just kind of pointing out that two things can be true at once and that this is one of those situations. I don't hear anybody openly celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And so, you know, who is it that Trump is exactly talking about or thinking about when he says people you would generally think of as being part of the left? No, Mr. President, we don't know who you're thinking of or who you're talking about. And under investigation by who, for what, right? It's just so confusing and so strange of a statement to hear from our president. And, you know, he was asked there if there was going to be if he was going to be making good on his promise to pull the visas of foreigners who celebrated. He said, no, we haven't, but we're looking at names. We don't like that. That's just not right. So, you know, there's different things that apparently the administration's looking at to punish people, again, for what exactly, I'm not sure. And we also have news coming out that Trump is saying now that he would have, quote unquote, lowered the flags for Melissa Portman, the senator the Minnesota lawmaker who was slain a few months ago. And he said basically yeah, he would have, if he was asked to, he would have lowered the flags to half staff after lowering the flags to half staff for the death of Charlie Kirk, something that is, in my understanding, unprecedented to do for someone who's not a sitting lawmaker or a very high-ranking military official. And he says, oh yeah, I would have done that if I was asked, but lo and behold, back when the shooting actually happened, in the aftermath of it, when these No Kings protests were going on all across the country, what did Trump say about Tim Walz? Trump said about Tim Walz that he didn't even feel like a need to call Tim Walz because of how awful of a governor Tim Walz was. So, you know, Trump's trying to play this whole humanity card, and oh well, how could people go there with over Charlie Kirk's death, and how could people be so heartless and be so inconsiderate, when it's like, dude, like, we have a president of the United States who picks and chooses what he's going to consider unacceptable political violence, and the things that he picks and chooses to call out are, oh, lo and behold, is it a coincidence that there are often things that benefit his political case more often than not? No, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that Trump is ultimately a utterly just heartless, cruel person. He doesn't have a, you know, the Grinch. The Grinch's heart looks very, very large compared next to Donald Trump's, and you know, it's not a good thing for to have a leader of so many people, right? Where, because it has this ripple effect, in my opinion, where it ripples out in our society, and it requires more, right, from people who are empathetic, who are wanting to heal and unite our country. It requires more from us, more work to kind of make up for Trump's just utter just heartlessness, heartless nature of a man that he is. So, you know, this response from Trump is very concerning. It's, you know, in a time when we need to be uniting more than ever, and this stuff is getting worse and worse in terms of the political violence, and we need a leader to unite us and calm the temperature down as much as possible. What is Trump doing? Not that. And, you know, it's not good for our country ultimately, and we need to elect leaders that ultimately display more empathy, so that when these situations happen, right, we don't have someone in there that's saying things that is hopefully not, but seemingly making things worse rather than making things better. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.